Hello everybody, how we doing? It's TubeMix here, and welcome to episode 1 of TubeMix's album reviews. So the recut ones are done. This is the first episode of the normal album reviews and the non-recut ones. And today, to kicking off, I'm going to be doing the 1968 album, Disney Songs the Satchmo Way. Who is Satchmo? Well, you'll have to find out. First though, run the titles. So Satchmo was, of course, jazz legend Louis Armstrong. Well done if you got that at home. I love saying that. Anyway, track 1 is Zippity-Doodah, and it's originally from the 1946 Disney film Song of the South, but the less said about that, the better. It was written by Ray Gilbert and Alfie Rubel. Put my teeth back in. Alfie Rubel. He has quite a hard name, but yeah, I think you get the gist. And it was originally sung by James Baskett as Uncle Remus. This version is very Dixieland jazz that Armstrong was famous for, and if you're a Louis Armstrong fan, then you'll know what I'm on about, and you'll know that it makes sense, really. What's funny about this one is how it took him so long to record this song. One, because he was a big Disney fan, Louis Armstrong that is, and two, well, Zippity-Doodah had been around since the mid-40s, and this was 1968, the album was released, so was definitely, been around for a good few decades, and had been recorded by his contemporaries ranging from Bing Crosby to Johnny Mercer. But yeah, as you can imagine, it's fun. The theme of this album, I think, is fun, not just because they're Disney songs, but Louis Armstrong is one of those artists where he just, you can feel his warmth, and it just makes you smile, and he just really just gives a really great performance of this, and it's so playful. It's really really warm and very happy, and makes you feel good, which is what the song is all about. Zippity-Doodah, making you feel good. Would I revisit this track? Yes, I think I would. I don't think it's my favourite track off the album, but I do love Louis Armstrong, and I do like Disney. So if you both like these things, then I think you'll like most of the album. Anyway, let's move on to track 2. Okay, track 2 is called 10 Feet Off the Ground, and it's from the one, the only, and genuine original family band. I think I've got that right. Oh no, sorry, it's the one, the only genuine family band. There we go. Got it right. Yeah, a bit of a long one. It was written by Richard M. Sherman and Robert B. Sherman, the Sherman brothers. Even if you don't know their names, they are behind some of the most biggest Disney tunes and movies just generally. Their work includes Mary Poppins, the original version of The Parent Trap, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, the original Winnie the Pooh featurettes, so much more, and their non-Disney stuff including Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And this one, yeah, it's the interesting thing is there's a lot of songs on this album because you think, oh, Disney songs, you know, oh yes, you know, I probably know loads of them. This one might be one of them that you might not know. In fact, I didn't know it. It's very interesting, really, because you know, I'm quite a Disney nerd. I like researching about Disney just generally, and the songs is something I've researched a lot about. But this one had, well, and this film really had passed me by. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was 1968 it came out, so I suppose this album, the one, the only genuine family band, was new at the time, really. So it was a mix of old classic Disney songs, but ones like 10 Feet Off the Ground and About Time, both from the one, the only genuine family band. So yeah, and it's quite an obscure one. If you ask many people on the street, if you're doing a survey, have you heard of the one, the only genuine family band? I'm not sure how many people would say yes, really. It actually the film featured a very young Goldie Hawn in only a cameo, but making her film debut. So if you're a Goldie Hawn fan, that might be interesting. Anyway, back to this track, and the lyrics about, you know, how music and magic, you know, the magic of the music, you know, I can't think of anything better that works better that sums up Disney's music, really. All the songs, you know, are magical in some way, whether they're the lyrics or just, you know, we think they're so wonderful, they're magical, sort of. And the Shubber Brothers really have summarised it pretty well. In fact, I would maybe wonder whether they'd asked people, or generally whether they'd heard from people on their way to the studio, what do you think of Disney songs generally? And maybe this came out of that, I don't know. But yes, and also it's a bit wild, you know, being 10 feet off the ground. So yeah, it works, and it's very Disney. Right, would I revisit the track? Not sure. I don't think it's essential. It is a fun one though, and Louis Armstrong is fun as always, both in his vocal performance and very short but brief solos on his trumpet. Right, let's move on. Now this is one of my favourites. Track 3 is Heigh-Ho, of course, from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, written by Larry Morey and Frank Churchill. And if you don't know 10 Feet Off the Ground, then fair enough. But if you don't know this one, if you don't know Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I think you've been living in a cave, to be honest. The first full-length feature Disney film, released in 1937. So it's quite surprising that, again, you know, like Zippity Doodah, it's taken all this time for Satchmo to record this one. But yeah, he's and do you know what? It is a very fun version, as you'd expect. My favourite part is when the chorus goes, "Hi-ho, hi-ho, he'll make your troubles go. You've heard him sing, now hear him blow. The king, Satchmo." That's yeah, I like that. That's a nice touch, and it's great because Louis Armstrong goes hi-ho, and then the chorus, there's a call and response. It's a very fun version, actually, and some songs work better in this jazz setting than others, I think, but this one definitely does work, and it's a nice one. It actually reminds me also of Louis Armstrong's recording of the hymn Down by the Riverside in terms of the arrangement as well. So yeah, really fun one of my favourite tracks, and oh yes, absolutely I'd revisit this. Right, let's move on. Okay, track 4 is Whistle While You Work, another one from Snow White. So, unlike Play Your Cards Right, you do get something for a pair in this game. And, sorry, the temptation to do that was just too much. Anyway, this is a really fun one as well. There's hand claps as well when Satchmo gets his trumpet out, and it's just such a fun rendition. This one had actually been a jazz standard for some time. Billy Cotton and his band, the great late Billy Cotton, British band leader, did a version. I think Glenn Miller might have also done a version with his orchestra. So it been recorded quite a bit as a jazz standard, but yeah, this is Louis Armstrong's taking it. As you can expect, you know, it's fun. Most of the songs on this album, well, they're Disney songs, but they're just, you can feel like everyone's enjoying themselves. Well, that's what it certainly sounds like listening to these recordings. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. And what's really funny is at the end of the track you get a wolf whistle. Yeah, that's so hilarious, but just absolutely fantastic. And he didn't have the best voice, admittedly, Louis Armstrong, but I don't know, there's something about his gravelly voice that just seems so warm. I don't know, because yes, you know, he wasn't the best singer, and a lot of people might be, you know, put off by his voice and much prefer his trumpet playing, maybe, which I could get that, but for me, I don't, maybe it's just the nostalgia of hearing his voice. I mean, I listen to Radio 2 a lot, as you'll know I've mentioned quite a bit in my videos, and probably that, and so hearing songs like What a Wonderful World and We Have All the Time in the World, and Hello Dolly, and many more, and also some of the songs off this album as well. I maybe it's just me, but his voice just feel warm and nostalgic and just happy. It's just wonderful, and I love his laugh as well, just so brilliant. If you look up clips of Louis Armstrong, then yeah. Oh, by the way, you may be wondering, well, isn't it Louis Armstrong? Well, I always wondered that, but given he says this is Louis Dolly on his version of Jerry Herman's Hello Dolly, so if he says it like that, I would imagine, because I imagine he would have ad-libbed that. I don't think it would have been written in the lyrics. It could have been. So I would guess it probably is Louis, and I think Barbra Streisand says Louis because, funnily enough, actually, after recording the song, a couple of years later, he had a cameo as himself as the band leader in the film version of Hello Dolly, opposite Barbra Streisand, and she says hello Louis, but then Bing Crosby calls him Louis because in the duet of Gone Fishing he says, well, I'm a busy man, Louis. Yeah, I don't know. I think Louis Armstrong and the other famous jazz lyricist, well, there's Louis Jordan. To me, Louis Jordan, that Louis Jordan doesn't sound right. Louis Armstrong does, in my view. Louis Jordan and Louis Prima. Anyway, back to this track. Would I revisit it? Yes, definitely. It's funny. It's fun. It's just warming. It can really just pick you up, and you know, the hand claps, I think that gives it a great party atmosphere as well. So yeah, it's a good one. Right, the next track is, I'll say this slightly, Chim Chim Cher-ee. There we go, from Mary Poppins, of course. And well, this one, it's perfect for jazz because the words, you know, they're like scat words, aren't they? You know, when singers scat in jazz, you know, it's perfect, really. Yeah, originally sung by Dick Van Dyke in the role of Bert, of course, and then later joined by Julie Andrews as Mary Poppins, Karen Dotrice, put my teeth back in, Karen Dotrice as Jane and Matthew Garber as Michael in Mary Poppins, and also Armstrong's friend, good mate and fellow contemporary Bing Crosby, the great Bing Crosby, also recorded the song around the same time as well for his album Thoroughly Modern Bing. Although what's interesting with this one is definitely more jazz, where the Bing's version is more relaxed, more subdued. Well, I suppose, Bing's always a very relaxed kind of, his voice and his music is generally quite relaxing, whether Louis Armstrong, on the other hand, is full of life. He likes to liven things up a bit. And he's done ballads, of course. We'll come to When You Wish Upon a Star at the end of the album. Oh, by the way, also, I should have said Whistle While You Work, originally sung by Adriana Kislotti in the role of Snow White, of course. So, yeah, just closing the book on that one. So, yes, this one's a weird one because you think it's ending and then, right, all done. Right next, down to the next track. Thankfully, I'm not listening to this track for a very long time. This version, sorry. But I remembered that it had one of those false endings and then, But yeah, it's a really fun one. It really suits him down to the T. There's not many of these songs that don't suit him, actually. Yeah, it's brilliant. Right, let's move on. Oh, sorry. Would I revisit it? Yes, I think I would. The next track is Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo from Cinderella, of course, where it was performed by Verna Felton as the fairy godmother, and it's actually been recorded by a few people: Perry Como and the Fontaine sisters, Eileen Woods, the voice of Cinderella. She didn't sing it in the film, but she did do a version of it, and Gordon McRae and Joe Stafford, brilliant singers as well, did a version as well. And yeah, this one is so fun. It really is. The chorus going, yeah, and just absolutely, it makes me smile listening to this. Part of it is because it brings back memories of listening to a Disney CD, and Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo was on it. This version on it. It was a compilation. Basically, mainly it was the pop versions of the Disney songs. There were a few versions from the films, but it was mainly, it had Dr. John's version of Cruella de Vil from the live action 101 Dalmatians, Elton John's versions of Can You Feel the Love Tonight and Circle of Life. I'm just trying to think. Randy Newman, You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story. So many more. I suppose Peggy Lee. No, because it was the version in Lady and the Tramp. But no, anyway, so I'm getting distracted. And it had this and When You Wish Upon a Star. So, funnily enough, really, I knew those two versions of the tracks, but not. I discovered this album quite later on. So one, it gives me great nostalgia for that. But also, even if you haven't heard it, it will make you smile. It's just such a fun version, and everyone just seems like they're having such a great time in that studio. He's making, the band and the orchestra and the recording engineers happy. They're being kept happy by Louis Armstrong's vocal performances and trumpet. It just seems like a really warm, friendly atmosphere, which is fantastic when you're hearing it. I don't know, but, it's great that you think, you're hearing it and thinking everyone's having such a great time. And that's what you get from this one. And again, Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, which is a load of nonsense in the lyrics. Sorry to Mac David, Jerry Livingston, and Al Hoffman. No offence, guys, because it's obviously a classic song, but it is a load of nonsense in the best way possible. and it's kind of jazz scatward, so again suits Armstrong down to a T. Would I revisit it? Yes, absolutely. It's a fun one. Right, let's... Okay, so the next track is called About Time, and it's from the one, the only genuine original Family Band, so another Sherman Brothers one, and it was originally sung by Leslie Ann Warren and... oh my, I've forgotten the guy's name. Oh, never mind, it doesn't really matter too much. I'll research it while I'm listening to the next song and then let you know. But yeah, it's basically this one is probably the most just trying to think of the word. Yes, the most closest to the original arrangement, because a lot of these songs are very different takes on, you know, more jazz takes on the Disney songbook, but this one is actually, you know, it's generally the same tempo. If you take away the clarinet, the trumpet, all the jazz elements, then that's what you pretty much get on the original one. Because actually, I originally first heard Louis Armstrong's version, because really I don't know much about the one, the only genuine original Family Band. Oh my god, who thought that to be a movie title? It's too long for a post, it's a mouthful. Oh, what should we go to see at the cinema? Oh, do you know, I want to go see, what about the one, the only genuine original Family Band? It's ridiculous. Oh dear. Anyway, it's a fun song, it's a love song really, about sort of, you know, wanting to, you know, have more time together. So yeah, it's a really lovely song and it's a great one, and you might actually recognise it because it was in Serendipity. I think that's the film. Yeah, Serendipity. Yeah, the Firefly spin-off film, Miramax one. And I think it's on the credits there. I might be wrong, but I'll have to check up on that actually, and I'll let you know afterwards. But yeah, it's a great one. Would I revisit it? Not sure. I don't think it's essential, but it's still a fun one, and he still gives a great vocal performance. And by the way, if you're wondering why the trumpet solos are quite short, because of course Louis Armstrong, one of the most famous things apart from his gravelly voice, is in playing the trumpet. Well, by this time he was already getting on a bit in age, and a combination of that and health, because when you play the trumpet, if anyone who's watching this video does play the trumpet, maybe you could relate to this, but because you're sort of pressing your lips, you know, it can cause you a bit of damage. Actually, it's not great. Generally, it's, you know, it's not great really for health really. So years of doing that, and he was just not in the best of health during this album. Although, you know, he does give some great vocal performances considering how, you know, not great he was, but. So that's why, in fact, these were the final trumpet performances, because he did release 2 more albums, but they were just him on vocals, really. And he had to, you know, he stopped playing the trumpet altogether. But at least actually, it's nice, you know, that it's gradually, so you're getting shorter trumpet solos on here for this album. And then, you know, so it's a gradual thing. I don't know, there's something nice about that. Not him having to stop the trumpet because of his health, but because it's gradual. Right, let's move on. So the next track is the Ballad of Davy Crockett, a song which, well, it's not obscure, but it's probably not the first Disney song you would think of. I think actually for this one they'd be better leaving the trumpet off because it's a country song. You know, people like Tennessee Ernie Ford, Fess Parker, who played Davy Crockett, Bill Hayes. I think it was called Bill Hayes who had a version in the UK as well. Hit the charts. So yeah, it's a country song really. So I would leave the trumpet, but it's still a great version actually. Not one that you would think Louis Armstrong to do at all, really, but it's a really great fun version as ever, and I think this one's one of the best Disney songs because it's so, you get the audience to sing, Davy Crockett, it's got everything you need for a theme song as well because it was the theme song to the Adventures of Davy Crockett, which aired on the Walt Disney Anthology TV series Disneyland. So basically, just to briefly explain, Walt Disney himself used to host a TV show where he would introduce it, and it was an anthology series. So, 1 week there would be a live action drama, the next week would be a cut down version of an animated film, and another week would be, for example, behind the scenes. So there was really, if you're a Disney fan or watching that, I could just imagine, you'd get so much content, and to hear from Walt himself and see Walt I've watched some episodes on YouTube and I can't imagine the excitement watching there. I would have absolutely loved it because seeing Walt Disney, hearing his voice and hearing him talking about, so many the behind the scenes stuff, and some of the best bits, last bit on this, is live action and animated sequences where you see Walt interact with an animated Donald Duck, for example. Those are the bits you can't replicate. Anyway, back to this song. Would I revisit it? Yes, I think I would. It's a fun one. It's one of those ones that would really get stuck in your head. I really wouldn't blame it if it did. It's such a great song, a really, really great theme song. That's what you want for a theme song, People think, great, Davy Crockett, and yeah. Right, let's move. Okay, the next track is the Bear Necessities, of course, from the Jungle Book, written by Terry Gilkinson and originally performed by Phil Harris as Baloo the Bear. The brilliant Phil Harris. And Bruce Riverman, son of director Wolfgang Riverman, as the voice of Mowgli. 1967, the original film of the Jungle Book came out. So yeah, just a year before this, although possibly in the UK, might have come out in 1968 because often you have films comes out the year after in another country as opposed to another country. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, it is a great version, but I can't believe he didn't do I Want to Be Like You, because that is tailor-made for him. That whole King of the Swingers thing. He should. I think he should have gone for that one personally, because it was just made for him. But yeah, it's a good version. It's a very fun version, and he really suits it. I much prefer it to Bill Murray's version. Oh dear, that's overdoing it. I heard it on the radio. It's like, go home, Bill, go home. Nurse is off his meds again. I think, in my opinion, I love Bill Murray, but I think they way overdid that. And I don't like ragtime anyway. Right. Anyway, back to this track, and yes, just such a fun song, and of course, Louis Armstrong. Brilliant on the trumpet and also singing it as well. So will I revisit it? Yes, I think I would. Oh, excuse me. And let's move on to the next track. Oh, sorry, I should say, also forgot to say that the Ballad of Davy Crockett was written by Tom Blackburn and Disney veteran George Bruns. Right. I think I got that right. Anyway, let's move on to the next. Okay, and so we come to the final track on the album. Well, it's the theme song for Disney, isn't it, really? Well, literally, it is, because it's on the, when you hear it before the beginning of each Disney film, when the logo comes in the castle. But yeah, the whole idea of wishing upon a star, you know, and magic, you know, they're just so associated with Disney, aren't they now? Yeah, of course, at the time, of course, when that song was first heard, well, it was just like any old other song, but now it's just become legendary. Written by Lee Hartline and Ned Washington for Walt Disney's 1940 film Pinocchio, where it was performed by Cliff Edwards as Jiminy Cricket, of course, who released a few versions himself as well, alternate versions, and loads and loads and loads of people have done it. I always find this version a bit odd, to be honest. It's because I don't know the way the chorus begins. It's just so weird in a way. It's quite hard to describe. It's not my favourite version for me. Or Cliff Edwards, that high note at the end of the original version, that that just that brings goosebumps to me. But it is actually nostalgic because this was one of two tracks on the Disney CD that I listened to, so it's nostalgic for that reason. Let me bring you up actually some things Louis Armstrong said about that song and the album generally, because it's so fantastic. So let me just get it up. So he says, here we go. So let's start with Jimmy Johnson. So this was the boss of Disney Music at the time, of the Disneyland Buena Vista Records, whatever you call it, the record label basically. The dates with Louis were among the happiest I can remember. He'd been quite ill but had gone on a rigorous diet. He was very thin but looked well and was full of energy. And Armstrong later wrote to Tutti Camerata, the great trumpeter himself, and was in charge of Disney Music. In fact, he said to Walt Disney, well, why don't you build your own studio for this, for recording? And he said, well, no, why don't you do it? And so they did, and that was the start of that, really. 1955, I think it was founded, because before then, soundtracks were a bit of a weird one, because they weren't as popular as they were now, and often they were covers by a lot of the artists, and record labels like Decca and stuff like that would often release the tracks by other artists, or it was a bit complicated and a bit different in those days, but and then so it's thanks to Walt Disney and Tutti Camerata, who founded Disneyland Records, that we now have Walt Disney Records and proper Disney albums, if you like. So Armstrong later wrote to Camerata to say, this goddamned Wish Upon a Star is so beautiful, and more than that, man, I listen to that tune 3 or 4 times a night. Man, did you know I'm a doggone long time wishing cat? I could just imagine this here in his voice. Well, I am, man. I haven't enjoyed anything better since our recording session since, well, I can't remember when. And that just brilliant. That really concludes with my thoughts that generally, all these recording sessions of the album are just so, everyone seems so happy and everyone seems like they're enjoying themselves. They were glad to have him. Louis Armstrong was a big Disney fan, and in fact, nearly, had it not been for his health, would have been in the Aristocats to be released a couple of years later. unfortunately, his illness was too bad, and he had to pull out, unfortunately. And so Scatman Crothers, voice of Hong Kong Phooey, and the very appropriately named, well, the character was called Scat Cat, so he had Scat in his name as well, Scatman Crothers. So yeah, I suppose it couldn't have worked out any better, really. But oh, that would have been amazing, wouldn't it, if Louis Armstrong was in the Aristocats? And yeah, get to see him and Phil Harris. In fact, there's a great clip of him, Phil Harris, and Bing Crosby, I think, or is it Dean Martin? I'm just trying to think. I can't quite remember. No, I can't remember. It's gone. Oh, by the way, John Davidson was the guy in the one, the only, and genuine original family band who sang About Time with Leslie Ann Warren. So yeah, back to that. And sorry, the Ballad of Davy Crockett, I'm pretty sure it was Tom Blackburn and George Bruns, but let me just check that because I don't want to leave you with any wrong information. So let's just see. Yes, Tom Blackburn and George Bruns, I thought so. Right, well, thank you very much for watching. I've really enjoyed this. Everyone loves Disney, everyone loves, well, loads of people love Louis Armstrong, so I thought this would be such a great album to do. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Now, I'm sorry it's been a long time since the last one. This heat, how have you been coping? I am sick to death, honestly. I really don't want to see the sun for the rest of the year, to be honest, because it's just been constant and never ending. And yeah, of course, you can't really do videos when you have to have the fan on, and I couldn't close my door as well, so yeah, I just had to just take a break. But yeah, I'm back now, and yeah, there's lots of great things to come. I'm going to speak to Joe Wheels, Jordan Ellen. We were supposed to be recording for Fleetwood Mac's Rumours. That was the one we were going to do, but it didn't happen. One, because of the heat, I think. And two, I just couldn't get hold of him. And I do need to speak to Ben Connie, and also, what else? Oh yeah, the Pina Colada Festival, so yeah, got that to come. And of course, we've got the countdown to the 13th Doctor's final stand, Jodie Whittaker, and also I'll be reviewing the last couple of specials and Series 13, Doctor Who Flux. So yeah, really good things to come from the channel. I'm really looking forward to it. And if you've enjoyed this, feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe to the TubeMix YouTube channel. Oh, and you can also follow me on TikTok, search for WillMix20. And you can also follow me on Instagram, willradford.5678, all one word. Or you can follow me, willradford9 on Twitter. Thank you for watching, and stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.